Hello everyone, this is the fifth lecture on ray optics. So let's begin. The first topic here is called as critical angle. It is, to define it, it is that angle of incidence for which the refracted ray grazes. I'll tell you what this word means. So it is that angle of incidence for which the refracted ray grazes the surface when light travels from denser to rarer medium. That angle is called as critical angle. To understand this, let us consider a boundary or an interface, and let this interface separate two different mediums. Let this medium be the rarer medium and let this be the denser medium. Let us assume that a source of light is kept in the denser medium. Somewhere here an object is placed. Let's draw few light rays from this source. If we take one light ray which falls normally, then this light ray would move the same path, the same direction. Here in this case, I is equal to 0 and also R is equal to 0. Again, this is obtained from Snell's law. We will take one more light ray which falls at an angle to the surface like this. If we draw a normal at this point, in this case, the angle of incidence I has increased. Here, since light is moving from denser to rarer medium, light would bend away from normal. So light ray would bend and say it comes out like this. So this is the angle of refraction. In this instance, both I and R is also increased. We will take one more light ray which makes further angle with the normal. That is, in this case, I is further increased. If we draw a normal at this point, then I is further increased. So what will happen is this light ray would bend further away from normal. It will bend something like this. Now what is seen here is, it is seen that the refracted ray is progressively going away from normal. It is going away like this, as seen in the rays. There will come a point when this light ray is so incident that this light ray makes an angle such that in this case the refracted ray would move along the surface. This is called as grazing. Grazing means the refracted ray, or for that matter any ray, grazing means the ray moves on the surface. In this case, the refracted ray is grazing, or the refracted ray moves along the surface. So the angle which the incident ray makes with the normal, this angle here is called as critical angle. So critical angle is that angle of incidence for which the refracted ray grazes along the surface, which means the angle which the refracted ray makes with the normal would be 90 degrees. So this angle of incidence is called as critical angle. Now what will happen if the light ray makes an angle of incidence which is greater than critical angle? So if you take one more light ray from this point, imagine it falls like this. So in this case, the angle made with the normal is still greater. So something interesting happens in this case. What is seen is that in this case, so the angle, if we call say some I, so whenever the angle of incidence, if it is more than critical angle, then this light ray, instead of refracting, it would reflect. That is, this light ray, instead of going into the other medium, would be reflected back into the same medium, such that the angles made here and here would be same, because it is basically reflection here. For reflection, the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection are equal. So even this would be I. So this phenomenon in which the light ray is reflected into the same medium, even though light travels between two different mediums, is called as total internal reflection. We'll define it. It is a phenomenon in which a ray of light, when traveling from denser to rarer medium, incident at an angle greater than critical angle, returns to the same denser medium. That is called as total internal reflection, which is called as TIR in short. As demonstrated by experiment given here, think of the light ray falling from glass, water to air. Now here light refracts, so light is moving from air to glass. It's refracting here. Now what is seen at this interface is very interesting. So this light ray, instead of refracting, instead of going like this, what is seen is this light ray is reflected into the same denser medium. That is, instead of going away like this, it is being refracted, such that the angle here are same. This phenomenon is called as total internal reflection. It is called as total for a reason. To understand this, think of light falling on any medium or on any boundary, whether it is a mirror or say a transparent object, whatever it is. When light falls on any medium, three things will happen. So if light falls on it, three things will happen. A part of light would be reflected, as seen here. A part would be transmitted, and a part would be absorbed by the medium itself. So the total incidence, the total energy, a part of it is gone for reflection, a part of it is seen as transmission, and a part is seen as absorption. You can think of rat to understand this. So part is reflected, a part is absorbed, and a part is transmitted. In case of a mirror, if you think of a mirror, in this case we learned that the light rays would reflect. So which means in this case there is more of reflection. So here R dominates. There is more of reflection and there is very small amount of transmission. So even though here there will be a very small amount of transmission, and this material or this mirror would absorb some amount of light also. So here absorption and transmission are very small, but the light which comes out will have a greater intensity. But in reflection, this reflected ray will not have total intensity, which means if intensity of the incident ray is say I, then this intensity will not be I, it will be less than I. If it's a very good reflector, maybe it will be around 96% of the original intensity. So as seen here, it is not completely reflected. But in case of TIR, in this case, what was reflected, it's at very high intensity. Even here also we don't get total light, because as seen here there is some part which has been scattered, but the light which is reflected has more intensity than in case of a normal reflection. Hence it is called as total internal reflection. As seen by another example here, there is a source of light, and then from this, look at this one light ray which is falling on this glass. The light ray is falling normally. Do remember that for a sphere, this would be the normal. So the light ray is not deviated at all, because it's falling normally. The light ray falls on this boundary. Now here, instead of refracting, instead of going away like this, what is happening is, if the angle of incidence here, if this angle incidence, if this is more than critical angle, then the light ray has been reflected back as seen here. So this is one example to demonstrate total internal reflection. Now there are two conditions to be satisfied to observe TIR. The first condition is the ray of light must travel from denser medium to rarer medium. That is because if we assume light to travel from rarer to denser medium, example, think of this as rarer medium and this as denser medium. Then if we look at a source of light placed somewhere here, if we take one light ray which falls normally, this light ray would move undeviated. If we take one more light ray which falls at an angle to the normal, in this case what will happen is, since light is moving from rarer to denser medium, this light ray would bend towards normal. It will bend like this. So there is no way that the light would graze the surface, because for light to graze the surface, the refracted ray should move away from normal progressively like this. Since it cannot happen here, we cannot observe TIR when light moves from rarer to denser medium. So the first condition is that the light should move from denser to rarer medium. Second condition is the angle of incidence must be greater than critical angle. This is very important. Otherwise, light would refract, not reflect. Next topic is relationship between, or relation between, relative refractive index and critical angle. To understand this, we will consider an interface, and let us take two different mediums. Let this be the rarer medium whose refractive index is given as n suffix r, and let this be the denser medium whose refractive index is given as n suffix d. Now let us assume that we have a source of light somewhere here, and we will assume that the light falls at critical angle. So we know from the previous discussion, in this case the light ray would graze, that is, the refracted rays would graze on the surface like this, such that the angle made here would be 90 degrees, and this would be theta c. So we need to find out what is the relationship between critical angle and these refractive indices. By using Snell's law, or by applying Snell's law, what we get is Since light moves from here to here, then nd into sine theta c is equal to nr into sine 90. Sine 90 is 1. Therefore, what we get is sine theta c is equal to nr by nd. What we wanted is critical angle. So, from here, critical angle is equal to sine inverse of nr by nd. So, this is the required formula. Sometimes, if this medium is air, so if nr is equal to 1, then we have only one medium. So, let us call its refractive index as n only. We are putting suffixes nr and nd because we have two different mediums. If we have only one medium, then we can put n itself. In that case, what we get would be theta c is equal to sine inverse of 1 by n. This is what we get. This is what we find in many books also. Here a table is given for critical angle. Do remember that in the previous discussion we saw that sine theta c is equal to nr by nd, which means critical angle depends on the pair of medium, not a single medium. For example, to understand this, think of, say, a prism like this. Now, imagine the prism is kept in air. In that case, what we get would be sine theta c would be in this case 1 by n for prism. Now, instead of placing the prism in air, assume that the prism is placed in some medium, for example, say water, whose refractive index is say n w. So, in this case, we get sine theta c as n for water by n for prism. So, even though the prism is the same prism only, based on the surrounding medium, critical angle would vary. Hence, critical angle is a function of both the medium's refractive indices. Here, for some materials, critical angle is given. For example, for water, it is given as 48.75 degree, and then for crown glass, there's some value given here, which is 41.14 degree, and then for dense flint glass and for diamond. So just remember these values, not the exact value, just an approximate value, so that we can do the further topics. So based on TIR, there are some applications. The first application is called as sparkling of diamond. It is common sense that diamond sparkles to a greater extent, but the sparkling of diamond is not only because of the material, it is also because of its polishing. We'll see what it means in a minute. So we saw in the previous table that for diamond, the critical angle for diamond air interface, the boundary is 24.4 degrees. Just remember the value. And also its refractive index is 2.4. So what will happen is the diamond is cut suitably so that light undergoes multiple TIR. Just think of a diamond's cross section like this. Imagine that light falls on diamond, it refracts like this, and then imagine that the light refracts like this, then comes out like this. In this case, we don't see much of shining. Instead of this, if it's been polished in such a way that the diamond undergoes TIR here, it undergoes TIR, again it undergoes TIR here, again here. So by multiple TIRs, it appears to be more and more brighter or more and more shining as seen here. So the shining is not only because of the material, it also depends on the polishing. By polishing, we mean that it's been cut in such a way that the light when falls there would be falling at a critical angle only. As seen here, there's no need to by heart all these diagrams, just to make a note of it. In cases where there's multiple TIRs, so we find it to be better reflecting. So this would be an excellent reflector. Unlike here there's not much of TIRs. So what we see would be a single ray, hence it will appear to be poor. So diamond sparkling is because of two reasons. One is the material and other reason is its cutting. Next is reflecting prisms. You all might have seen or heard about how a prism reflects light, where the prism would deviate light. There are three instances given here where we take a prism which is called as a right angled isosceles prism, which means its cross section. We will see what is a cross section in later topics. For now, think that a prism's cross section, when you cut a prism along certain plane, what you get would be a triangle. That's called cross section. The triangle what you're getting in this case would be a right angled isosceles triangle, which means you'll have three angles, out of which one angle is 90 degrees and remaining angles is same in this case because it is an isosceles triangle. This would be 45 degrees and this would be 45 degrees. Generally, the prism is made up of glass, and we saw in the previous discussion that for crown glass or dense flint glass, again don't worry as to what these are, just remember they are some kind of glass. For crown glass, the angle is 41.14 degree, and for flint glass it is 37.31 degrees. So the maximum value which is here given here is, just think of around 42 degrees. So critical angle for say prism and air is around 42 degrees. Now as seen in this case, you find the first instance where the light ray is going from say left to right, and the light ray has been bent by at an angle. So this is called as, the first diagram is called as deviation. Here it's called as deviation by 90 degrees. We will see as to how to get this diagrams. In the second instance, light is moving say from left to right, and light comes out like this. So here the deviation is by 180 degrees. The third case, light goes like this and light emerges out in the same direction only. So in this case of orientation, there is no deviation, but there is inversion. As seen by the images, the object is say erect, here it is inverted. So in the third case, there is no deviation, but only inversion. It's only inversion. Let's see this one by one. In the first case, let's take light beam from an object. So let this be a point. Now from this object, light ray falls normally on this face. Now this light ray moves undeviated because it falls normally on the face. In this case, light falls at an angle to this normal here. Now we need to find out whether this light would undergo TIR or just refract. To understand this, the angle here is 90 degrees, here it is 45 degrees, and even this is 45 degrees. Now if this is 45 degrees, then this should be 90 degrees because it's normal. That would mean that the angle made would be 45 degrees because this part is a triangle. Now in this case, since this is the normal, if you call this as n dash, n dash is a normal to this face. If you call this as say P, Q and R, this n dash is normal to the face PR. So the total angle which the normal makes would be 90 degrees, out of which if 45 goes there, then the angle what remains here would be 45 degrees. So this light ray makes an angle of 45 with this face PR. We saw that in case of prism or glass, the critical angle was around 42 degrees. So here light is falling at an angle which is more than 45 degrees. So this light ray will undergo TIR. So it will come out like this. Because even here also the angle made should be 45 degrees only. Even this also would be 45 only because the angle of incidence and reflection are equal. This would be 45 degrees. For the face QR, this light ray falls normally. So this would come out like this without any deviation here. This is what is the refracted ray. If we draw an object at this point, we call this as say object. This is point A, this is point B. And if we draw light rays from here also, even then same thing happens. Light falls here, it undergoes TIR, and then light comes out like this. So what you see in this case is, this case if we track the point A, this is the ray for point A. So in this case, we find that the object would be like this. So here there is a deviation by 90 degrees because light is going like this and comes out like this. So the deviation would be here 90 degrees. We take a second case where let this angle be 90 degrees. So this would be 45 degrees. This also would be 45 degrees. Again, let's take one light ray from a given point. Let this point be say some point A. The light ray falls normally on this face. We'll call the points as say again something like P and say Q and then R. So light falls normally on the face PR. So this angle is 90. That means that this angle here would be, this is 90. So this would be 45 degrees. And again here light falls at 45 because this is normal. If you call this as n dash, then n dash is a normal to the surface PR. So even here the angle made is 45 degrees. So this light ray would come out like this. That the angle made here would be 45. Even here, it can be proved that even at this point, the angle, because this is again 45 here, observe carefully, this is 45, this is 45, this is 45. So light would again undergo TIR here. So this light would go TIR and it comes out like this. So in this case, what we find is, we find that the light ray was going like this and light ray comes out like this. So the deviation here is 180 degrees. Again, if you take one more point, if you want to draw the object, we call this as point A and point B. We can draw similar triangle, similar light rays from here also. It falls, comes out like this. So in this case, it will be turned like this. It becomes A dash, B dash. The third case, we will look at the angle made here as 90 degrees. This would be 45 degrees and this again is 45 degrees. So we'll call this as, say, some Q, P and then R. Imagine light ray falls from object. There is no object here. Light ray falls from here. Do observe in this case, the light ray is falling at an angle to this point. So the angle made here is not 90 degrees, something else. Now this light ray would undergo refraction. Since light moves from rarer to denser medium, the light would bend towards normal. It bends like this. So think of light ray bending at this point. Here, it is very obvious in this case that this angle of incidence would be 45 degrees. So it is more than the critical angle. So this light ray would refract and it would come out like this. Similarly, you can take one more light ray or one more point from here, called as A and then B, and draw similar things. So light ray falls on this. So by similar analysis, you can show that the object is inverted, but here the light ray is going, look at this A, B, it's going like this, and light ray emerges out same way. So there is no deviation, there's only inversion. So these are the examples for prism deviations. Example is already shown here. This is a real example. So light ray is falling on this boundary. In this case, light refracts here, moves along the normal, and here the angle made is more than critical angle. So light undergoes TIR and comes out like this. So here there is deviation by 90 degrees. We have a case here where light ray is moving like this, and then the angle made here, this angle is more than critical angle. This would be actually 45 degrees, and we saw that for prism and air, it is critical angle is around 42 degrees, and light undergoes TIR. Even here light undergoes TIR and light comes out. So here light goes like this and comes out like this. So deviation here is equal to 180 degrees. Next topic is very, very important. It's called as optical fibers. Now, optical fibers basically are used for transmitting audio and video signals through long distances. To understand in a better way, think of a point A and a point B. Suppose we need to send some information from point A to point B. For example, thing like a message or some video or some live match has been streamed. So we need to send from point A to point B. So we can send the information in three methods. One method is by using radio waves. That is what we find as towers. We find tower somewhere here, and then at the receiving part we'll have one more tower. For example, like mobile signals, we have used towers. Second method, by using electrical signals. For example, like cables, cable wires, there the information is in the form of electrical signals. The third method, which is a recent method, is by transmitting the information in the form of optical signals. This is more faster. For example, if you observe carefully, the recent broadbands like ACT works on this principle only. So we can transmit the information by the form of radio waves, or the form of electrical signals, or the form of optical signals. So to transmit the information in the form of optical signals, we need something to carry them. So those devices or those construction or the arrangements which carry optical signals is called as optical fibers. So optical fibers are used for transmitting audio and video signals, or in general term, these are called as information in technical term. This could be like audio signal, video, could be anything through long distances. Now the principle of optical fibers is total internal reflection. As seen here, this is called as artistic diagram, which means we draw the objects bigger size to make it very, very clear. Not the exact picture, but just a description is given here. Now here what is very, very important is two parts. One is called as core and other part is called as cladding. These are the most important. And there is a coating, and then we have one more material to give strength to it, and one more material. I'll tell you why you want these materials, but for now focus on the basic or the most important materials called as core and then cladding. Generally, core and cladding are made of something called as quartz. Now here, as seen in this case, we have drawn the inner part only. There is core and then cladding. To remember that the refractive index of the core, which is the center part, that is greater than that of cladding. So what will happen is, if we draw its cross section, that is, if we draw only its cross section that is containing core and cladding. So the inner part is called as core and the outer part is called as cladding. So the thickened part, this part is cladding and center part is core. Now as seen here, core has a higher refractive index. So if light falls somewhere on this boundary, light would refract and light falls on this region. Observe carefully here, in this part, light is moving from core to cladding. Core has a higher refractive index. So it is like light moving from denser to rarer medium. So what will happen here is, this light may undergo TIR provided the angle here is more than critical angle. Suppose assume that we can make this angle to be more than critical angle, then this ray would undergo TIR. It would reflect again here, undergoes TIR and comes out. Now think of a very, very long pipe, because we saw in the previous definition that optical fibers are used to carry information over long distances. So it will undergo multiple TIRs. Now what may happen is, at these points we saw earlier that even some part would be absorbed and some may be transmitted. Even this could be very, very low, but there's a chance that this could be even transmitted. Now if the light escapes from the cladding, this would mean loss of information. So we need to contain this. You need to contain the whole thing to use a coating. So coating is basically used to contain information. That's one thing. Second point is the entire structure, the core or cladding is very, very thin. Generally, this diameter would be in the order of micrometers. That's a very, very thin material. So it's prone to break. It may break easily. To avoid such problems, we use a coating. So coating has two purposes. One purpose is to prevent, is to stop the information from going out of the optical fiber only. Second point is to give the optical fiber mechanical stability. And here we find a diagram where if light falls only in this range, it is not that for every angle we get TIR, only for given range of angle of incidence. That is, if we draw a line like this is normal to the surface. So for given angle of incidence here, for example, think it's I. Only for given range, only for this range, light undergoes multiple TIRs. Otherwise, it may just go straight. So this is the condition. So only light falling in this range will undergo TIR. Again, it's been drawn very exaggerated here. Actually, the angle will be very, very small. It's around, for this condition, maybe around less than or equal to 14 degrees. So only for this range, that is, the angle of incidence here is in this range only, then light undergoes, or we may get multiple TIRs. An example is given here, which is a real example. So, as seen here, we have a core, which is denser part, and cladding, which is seen here. So light is falling here, light undergoes refraction at this end, and then if we ensure that light falls here at critical angle, that depends on how light is incident on the surface itself. As I told you, only for given range of angles we get this condition, not for all angles. So in this case, what happens is, if this angle is more than critical angle, light undergoes TIR. Again here, TIR. So we find here multiple TIRs. And finally, light may emerge out like this. So this is the working of optical fiber. Here are some examples of optical fibers. Do observe that these are very, very thin. Or as given here also, they are very, very thin. The inner part is optical fiber. Next topic is about some uses of optical fibers. The first use is for transmitting optical signals. We saw it earlier. Second thing is it is used in endoscopy. As given here, endoscopy is to study in the internal organs of a human body. As seen here, light would enter this and undergoes TIR, it goes here and comes out like this. So endoscopy is basically used to study about internal organs of human beings. Third point is it is used to measure refractive index of liquid. Again, there's no need to understand how things work here. Just know the uses. They won't ask an examination to explain how endoscopy works in physics examination. So don't spend much time on understanding how these works. For physics point of view, it is sufficient to know that optical fiber is used in endoscopy also. We're done with the applications. Next is consequences. Now applications means where are we using the principle. That's called applications. Consequences means something which happens naturally in some mechanism. So we'll find out here some consequence of TIR, and the most important consequence is called as mirage. To understand this, we'll define what mirage is. It is an optical illusion caused due to total internal reflection. It is only an illusion. Illusion means something which doesn't exist in reality, but we perceive it to exist. That is called as illusion. To understand how this happens, let us take a case where think of this as the Earth's surface. This is the Earth's surface. Now, suppose imagine this is the Sun. We will draw few layers of atmosphere. So these are atmospheric layers. I'll call them as 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5. Here we have 5 layers. The distance between Sun and the Earth is around 150 million kilometers. That's very far distance. Compared with that, the atmosphere thickness is very small. So this the diagram drawn is actually correct here, because Sun is very far from the Earth's surface. It is drawn here to demonstrate the Sun also is giving light. Now in this case, if we look at which layer is hottest, then what people think is, people would think that since light ray falls directly on layer 5, that is, since more of light falls on layer 5 than layer 1, people would think that layer 5 would be hotter, which is not correct, because from the Earth's surface, the hotness of a given layer depends on how much light is reflected from the Earth's surface, not from the Sun directly. So even though Sun is the primary source of light or energy, the hotness of a given atmosphere layer depends on how much of light is reflected from the Earth's surface. So if we take a case where light falls like this and the light reflects from the Earth's surface, it reflects like this, maybe like this, it reflects. So from here, it is very obvious that layer 1 would be hottest than layer 5. So layer 1 is hottest than layer 5. So in this region, 1 is hottest and 5 is coldest for this region. We know that when something gets energy, it starts to move or vibrate. In this case, the molecules in this region, they get more energy. They have more energy. So they would spread away, which means the density of this would be less, because the molecules gets more energy, they'll move away from each other. So in this order, what is seen is, since layer 1 is hottest than layer 5, layer 1 would have least refractive index compared to layer 5. So as height increases, then n would also increase, which means layer 5 would be the densest layer compared to 4 or compared to 3, 2 and 1. So if light comes from somewhere, think we have a huge tree. Think of a tree like this, a big tree here. So if light comes from this, say, tree, from the tip of this tree, and light falls here. So in this case, light is moving from a denser to rarer medium. So this light ray would bend away from normal like this. Even here also, light is moving from denser to rarer. So light may bend away from normal, bend like this further. There may come a point or layer where the light may undergo TIR, such that light would emerge out like this. So for somebody seeing from this side, this person, okay, for somebody seeing from this side, the observer from here, this person would perceive that the light is coming from some point here. This is what the person would perceive. The person would see that the object is inverted. So even though the object is present like this, because of TIR, the person sees object to be inverted. This illusion is called as mirage. Now keep in mind that for this to be more visible, more prominent, there should be a greater difference in the layers refractive indices. So on a hot summer day, the difference is greater. So mirage is more prominent, or it is more clearly visible on a hot summer day. So this is called as mirage. As seen here, you would find the same thing. Now, the atmosphere has layers everywhere. It is not far away, it has everywhere layers. So the light rays bends at all the layers, and so what you get would be a curve like this, because it's bending at every point. So it becomes like a curve. It's bending here, you get a curve. So for this person would see as if light is coming from an object somewhere here. So this tree appears to be inverted, and this illusion is called as mirage. Here some examples are given. You can see there's the reflection of these objects here. The tree's image is seen here. This is called as mirage. Similarly, we find some kind of a water source here. Even though there's nothing present here, we find these kind of reflections. Again, this is because of mirage only. One more thing is the oasis, that is the appearance of water in deserts, is again because of mirage only. That is, sometimes people perceive that desert contains water at some points. Even that is because of the same phenomenon. The opposite of mirage is like looming. When I say opposite, it means that in case of mirage, it is more prominent during a hot summer day. The looming would be opposite of it. Think of a cold winter evening somewhere near the poles. Think of somewhere near north or south pole, or at higher latitudes. So think of a cold winter evening. So in that case, what happens is, if we draw same diagram, we draw few atmosphere layers. In this case, the layers close to the earth would be more colder because it doesn't radiate much. So earth would be very, very cold. So if we look at layers 1, 2 and 3, it will mean that the layers are very cold here also. So 1 would be very, very colder compared to 2 and 3, because it's a cold evening. So the atmosphere, the earth would be very, very cold. So layers also be cold. So in this case, unlike the previous case, in this case, the layer 1 would be coldest. It will be more denser. So here, if we think of an object placed somewhere here, like a ship. So if we draw some light rays from here, then what happens is, light is moving from layer 1 to 2, but we know that layer 1 is denser than layer 2. So light moves from a denser to rarer medium. So what will happen is, at some point light will undergo TIR, is what we see. So somebody standing here, it appears as if light is coming from somewhere like this, which means this ship appears to be floating. This condition is called as looming. So as seen here, this is a real example. So this ship appears to be floating in air. This is because of looming only. We'll take some examples to understand the learned earlier concepts. Example 1 says, critical angle of light passing from glass to air is minimum for. The question says, find for which colors given here is the critical angle minimum. We know that since light is moving from glass to air, we know that the critical angle we call as sine theta c. Some books will call it a c also. Sometimes you'll find as sine c. So whether it is c or theta c, it means it indicates critical angle. So sine theta c is equal to 1 by n. because here there's only one medium, so it's 1 by n. And recall what was n in terms of wavelength. N is equal to C by V. This is definition of n, C by V. In terms of, say, frequency and wavelength, you can write this as f into lambda in the medium. Here lambda would mean lambda in air. So f gets cancelled because f remains same. So what I get from here is n is equal to lambda by lambda in medium, which means lambda would be same in air. So it goes inversely as lambda in medium, which means sine theta c is proportional to lambda in the medium because it goes inversely, because n goes inversely as lambda in medium. So from here, it is clear that if lambda is less, in that case even critical angle will be less only, because if you look at sine variation, sine 0, if you look at sine value, sine 0 would be 0 and sine, say, 30 would be half and sine 90 would be 1. When sine increases from 0 to, when the theta increases from 0 to 90 degrees, sine also is increasing. So it means that if lambda is less, that means that even critical angle will be less only. So in case of VIB-Gaior, in this order, in case of VIB-Gaior, violet as the least wavelength and red as highest wavelength. So in this case, in these colors, violet as the least wavelength. Since critical angle goes directly as the wavelength, violet would have the minimum critical angle. Thank you.